Good evening. Give me 1 second to get set up. It has been a moment. Where are we at? Let's see. There we go. Nice. All right, most of it's still in place. Let's just check where we're at. All right, I've got that up and running. All right, good times. Right, first thing is, it's been a while since I've done this. Apologies, just with on call and life. I've fallen a little bit behind, but we just started a new module, so it's actually a bit easy to spin up. I noticed here last time that there are updates available for this, so while I'm just getting back into the swing of things, why don't we see how easy it is to update? So far, so good. All right, seems to have worked. So we're on Yarn Dev 5639, which is what I should be on. I'm on the here we go. Accessibility, start the app. Build field. That's interesting. Let's see. Okay, we'll set that to the playground. We're on field labels. Cannot resolve Kinsey Dodd's workshop app. See if that's working now. Let's see if we can navigate. I mean, looks like it's working. So we're on exercise 1. And if I click this, this should open this up. Yeah, nice. I had trouble with that last time, so I'm glad that's working. I'm just gonna quickly watch this video, figure out what's going on. Okay, some reasonably simple accessibility bugs. Now, where is it? We're on the Note ID page. So if I hit edit here, so I think if we read this, we need to update the accessibility of our Note edit form, which is where we should be. Current implementation is not accessible because the label and the input are not associated with each other. So it should be something like this. Alright, so we've got an HTML4 and an ID. Okay, So we should just find the return here. We've got a title, HTML4. What is this? Title. Extra credit, generate the ID using, nice. Okay. Save that. Nice, just making sure that's working. So we've got the HTML4, oh, we need the ID. There we go, nice. So if I don't click this label, then we'll focus into this input. Whereas if I click this, this is still broken. So let's do something similar for the content. HTML4 content, and then on the text area, set an ID. Does the same thing. We should be able to focus now. Good times. All right. There was extra credit somewhere there. Generate the ID using React's use ID hook. Is that just sharing the... That's weird. There we go. Sorry, I'm losing my goddamn mind. All right, so if we use ID, it will be passed to the accessibility attributes. Generate unique IDs, like here. Password hint ID. Go use ID at the top level of your component. So the password hint ID. Okay. So the title ID. It's just gonna use ID. I've lost my ID. There it is. So I've got title ID and content ID instead of this. We use title ID over here. Use content ID. If we go back here, this should still be working. Nice. Just to check that's working, if I made this title ID, this would then focus this, yeah, which obviously we don't want. Okay, so we've added that. We've added the ID attribute to the input. The actual value doesn't matter. Yeah, we've done that. And then we've used the use ID hook, which is cool. Done that too. You can test out whether your changes fix the problem by clicking on the label, which we did. Another issue we've got is the reset button doesn't work. This is because due to styling requirements, our reset button is outside of the form. So we need to communicate to the browser that the reset is associated with the form. And we can use IDs to do this. So we can associate the button with a form. So let's stick a form ID up here. There's already a form ID. Okay. So the form is going to be the form ID, which is here. So I'm going to take that off just now and hit reset. Nothing should happen. Now if I add this, there we go. Nice. We already do this with the submit button. Form ID, nice. Okay, smash the first exercise. We can now click the labels to focus the input elements, and now if we change this, the reset button as well as the submit button is now working. Good times. Easy. I love the exercise was easy, and I can't remember how to go to the next exercise. There we go. I'm going to change this up a little bit. I don't really need the solution for that, so I'm not gonna spend the 6 minutes watching that. So I'm just gonna keep cracking on. I'll come back and watch these in my own time, I think. I just want to focus on the exercises this evening. Let's close this. I love how seamless this is. Look, I can just go into files, and then so pop open the correct file, and then I can set the playground to this. Perfect. I will watch this because I need to work out what to do. Looks like we're going to be using, nice, self-evident here, we're going to be using ARIA tags. First rule of ARIA is don't use ARIA. If you can use native HTML, do it, and if you can, then we'll use ARIA. So we need to add ARIA invalid true and ARIA described by is the error ID to the input if there's an error. Otherwise, those attributes should not appear. So you'll set them to undefined in that case. So when the title looks good, it should render HTML like this. And when the title has an error, it should include these attributes. All right. Add ARIA invalid and described by here. Add the ID here. Okay. So we just need to add these properties. And those properties are going on to the input. Note that they're not present. We'll pass undefined. Yeah. The emoji will give you some tips on creating variables to make this easier. Another thing you may notice in both cases, we're rendering the div. Good. Okay, let's make a start. So we need a couple of variables. Does the form have errors a string that's the ID for the form error are undefined if there are no errors. Title has errors. So we need a boolean and a string. The title and the content. I'm not sure why we need the form one yet. The title has errors. If there are any errors for the title. We've got field errors here. I wonder if this will just be field errors, title, length. Otherwise, that can possibly be undefined. That's not what I want. If I did that, would give me a boolean, right? Yeah. One thing I just want to do before I go any further is I'm just going to check the field errors. Yep. Oh man, not the client. Actually, this will be client, right? Is that log not coming through? Okay, so we can, where are we? Hydrated. Here's the no edit. Let's remove this. It's actually just force an error here. So if I try and submit this, that's still using the HTML validation. Because it's required. So let's just take that off momentarily. Is this working? My playground isn't working. There we go. So now it should disappear. So it's just not hot reloading. It's weird. Let's reset the playground. Let's just stop the app a second. bizarre. So weird that was working. I mean, I'm just gonna have to press reload here, I think. It's kind of weird. In the playground. So weird it was working for the previous exercise. It's just not hot reloading. Okay. Of interest, is this gonna remember me? Nah. It's fine. I hadn't done that much work anyway. Say title has errors. I'm gonna do a boolean here. And we'll say field errors, title, length. And I'm just going to remove this required here. Let's refresh it. Okay, there we go. So at least this is coming through. But the UI is not updating, which is kind of weird. Okay, so our field errors is currently null, so the title has errors is false. If I remove this, hit submit. Title has errors is true because field errors title is an array with a string of 1. So we can say title has errors is true. Title error ID is going to be, we're going to first check if the title has errors, and if it does, do we have one? So there is an ID here. Should we use the React one again? So let's use ID for title ID. It's also interesting that it doesn't auto import that. All right, so we've got the input here. So we've got the HTML for it. Hope I don't mess this up by doing this. No. Let's put the title ID. The title error ID. A string that's the ID for the title error. Do I need 2? Okay. Can I just use the title ID? Let's start with that. So then that's either going to return a string or undefined. And then for here, area invalid, title error ID, and area described by. Okay, so we've now got the actual error message appearing below. So let's reset that and submit. Let's edit this. Let's try and submit this. So we now get title is required. So the error list is listing all of them. Why are you freaking out? String is not assignable. Ah, this is invalid if the title has errors. This should be a boolean. There we go. Aria described by. I think we want to use the ID here. Title error ID. And I think the ID here, the title error ID. Add the ID here. But it won't let me. An array of strings null or undefined. Is it just here? Let's come back to that. Got the title, and let's just repeat that for content. Field errors, content.length, and the content error ID is going to go here. So let's just grab this. My typing is awful, so I try and copy paste wherever possible. This, I can see why the ID needs attached here, because the area described by needs to be this. I actually don't have my screen reader set up on Windows. I should really do that if I'm going to work through this module. We could listen to what it sounds like. We need to change this to content ID. Just gonna move this a second as well. Ooh. Okay, so we've got some red styling now. Just going to refresh this and then submit that. Okay, why are you permanently red? Should we do the form one here? Is there a form ID? There is one. So there's one up there, which is no editor. So I'm gonna need two of these. Form has errors if this would just be form errors exists dot length, and then the form error ID is going to check to see whether the form has errors, and if it does, then we'll use the form ID. Interestingly, you need to attach that as well. Let's have a look here. And then the ID here would be the form error ID. Okay, let's have another read through this and just make sure we understand it. We need to add aria invalid true and aria described by error ID to the input if there is an error. Okay, so let's inspect this. Need to bring. Not going to be able to see anything here, but oh well. Actually, we need to see what the ideal code is. There we go. So we've got the input, we've got the class, we've got the ID. That's cool, that's what that looks like. We've got the name, max length. Aria invalid is false, which we don't want. We could do that. Just do that as a fallback. If title has errors as falsy, then it would fall back to undefined. So if I refresh this now, and we inspect this, it's still on it. I just want to make sure this is working. Yeah, okay. Just the hot module isn't. This. So it's still attaching it. Interestingly, it's got aria invalid. I thought I was being clever. Okay, so there's length. The greater than 0. It is. We'll need a, and then that won't like that comparison. Ugh. Should work. Maybe that's not falsy. Maybe that would only work if it was null or undefined. Title has errors. Does the OR work here? Maybe I shouldn't use this. That's interesting. Okay, so the OR will work if it's falsy, but the nullish coalescing operator will only work if it's null or undefined. That makes sense. Okay. Okay, so that means that's not on there. And then let's trigger the error. Invalid is true. An area described by R28P, which should be here, except it's not. Because the ID doesn't exist on here. Let me try and submit that. This is going to come in. Yeah, the ID isn't actually passed onto that error. Either I might have some stale code. Let's go into this error list. It's here. It's not an actual component. Okay. So we need to pass the ID in here. And then the ID will go on here. Errors. ID. String. The input, the name here, basic qual effect. I'm going to submit this. It's going to fail. URL has an ID attached to it. The area described by is matching with it, and it shows the area invalid is true, which is applying the red outline. Nice. I can't believe the component was here. I thought we were pulling it in. Okay. Good to know. So we've done the two of these. This now accepts an ID, so we're happy with that. We've added the ID to that as well. Checking to see if the form is invalid, if the form has errors or undefined, and the area described by will go into the error list. I think it mentions something about this that there isn't. We don't currently have any form level errors. We're going to put this in place anyway for learning purposes. Okay, so this is in place. It follows the same procedure as the inputs. Let me just quickly put required back in here. Interestingly, because I need to refresh it, right? If I now get rid of this and hit submit, the HTML validation has disappeared from this. It's got required on it. Nice. Alright, good times. Let's go in. I'm actually gonna, how long is this? It's like 5 minutes. I'm gonna sit and watch this because there was a couple of bits I stumbled over. Yeah, that makes sense. The one thing that I need to change here is I can't use the title ID for this. And the reason being is the area described by would end up being this, and this title error ID would match this title ID, which would match this label, and that feels a little bit wonky. So we'll just say title error here. Error. And that means the ID on the input is going to be different to the ID on this. Like that. All right, nice. Good times. Right, let's see if this works. Look at focus management. Close this. So open this. And let's just change something here. So we have title. Oh man, why is that not working? There's localhost 4000. Let's just close this down, stop the app. What happens if I just close all these? Just trash the terminal. Start again, run web forms. If I refresh this, this should be gone. Yep. Run yarn dev. Engine get appears to be invalid. So here's professional web forms. We'll just close this. So we should now be on to focus management. We're going to start the app. We have liftoff. Run the Epic notes. Let's open this file. Hey, there we go. I don't know. Something was funky there, but at least that's working. All right, let's do this, and then I'm going to take like a 10-minute break. Something. What have we got here? Focus management. Focus management. A lot of what we do for accessibility in the web is to manage the keyboard focus. It can be really annoying if I click submit and then have to find the field that caused the error. Wouldn't it be nice if focus moved to the field that has an error? What if there are two fields with an error? I think it would be best to focus on the first one. And what if the entire form has an error? Well, we should probably focus on the form itself, and the screen reader will announce the user that there's an issue with the form. Ooh, use effect. Controversial. Autofocus to the title field. Okay, let's start with that. So if we just add autofocus here, and then we save it, let's submit this, and now if I edit, then this should automatically be focused when we open the form up. I'm sure Google said not to do that. I thought that was bad for accessibility. So we can add a use effect. So let's add that just now. Use effect. And then let's get a dependency list that focuses on the first element in the form that has an error whenever the action data changes. So action data is probably going to be in our dependencies. And we only want to focus it if the form ref.current is truthy and the action data. Excuse me. No. Tired. We only care to focus on the element if the form ref.current is truthy and if the action data is in an error status. If form ref.current matches the query ARIA invalid true, then focus on the form. Otherwise, hold on. Let's just put this in here. Create a ref for the form element. Okay, so const, let's do that first. Just need to use ref here, right? Whoa. Error boundary doing its thing. It's weird the React auto imports aren't working here. So use ref. And then here I'm just going to do a console lock. I was trying to get that as low as possible, but there we go. Okay, so nothing's here. Add the form ref prop here. Let's see. It's defaulted to null. Then pass your ref object as the ref attribute, the JSX of the DOM node that you wish to manipulate. So we're just going to attach the ref to the actual form itself. Add a tab index of -1 so we can programmatically focus the form. Index together 1 and that. So we shouldn't be able to tab to this. Yeah. Okay, so the form can't be focused with tab, but we can do it through JavaScript. So that should be fine. Do we have to do anything else. Created a rep, so I think all that's left is our use effect. Add a use effect here whenever the action data changes. Action data changes. Form ref.current is truthy, which it should now be, right? Yeah, there we go. So we've now attached the ref to the form, and that's now logging the form. That's also an excellent snapshot. If the form ref.current matches the query, aria invalid, true. So we have aria invalid here. Just checking to see if it has errors. So let's check if action data status equals error. Now we need action data in our dependency. So far so good. Let's see. Element matches method. Is the form invalid? Invalid? Is the form invalid? The form is considered invalid. Let's just make sure that form ref.current, and now we know that this is truthy, so that satisfies both of these conditions. Form is invalid if document. We don't need a query selector here, right? Because we've only got the form. So we should be able to get by. Actually, we have it. We have the element here. Will that work? It's all over the place, but bear with me until I just straighten my thoughts out. Let me try and submit this now. Is form invalid is undefined. Yeah, that's not gonna work. I can do form ref.current. match selectors. If it matches. Let's just double check. We didn't miss anything here. So we've added the autofocus. We need a use effect. We know this is truthy. You can see this in HTML form element, which means we know that's a form element. Let's try and submit. Okay, so at least I'm getting at least the matches method. Returns true if matching selectors against the element's root yields element. Li class. It's checking. Why did that give me null? Give me fail to execute. That is not a valid selector. Are my quotes just off? Do I need double quotes here? That. Okay, so that won't trigger because this condition isn't met. And let's remove this, submit. I feel like it's just going to be syntax. Okay. That's fine because I'm checking if the form is invalid here. The form isn't invalid here. The title's invalid. Okay, so here, then I want to, let's actually just move this up. Otherwise, nice, this has got a bit of me in it. The other one was a little bit too quick, but I like this. So first we're going to check if the form is invalid. I'm just going to return here. And then otherwise, run the query selector to find the first ARIA invalid true HTML element and focus that one instead. Okay, so otherwise, const input errors. We're going to do, we can actually use the form ref. Let's just look inside the form instead of the document. Otherwise, run it. Form ref. Not matches. I want query selector here. And we can actually just use the same condition here, I think. I think now if I log the input errors, let's reset that. Nothing should happen here. Edit this. Get rid of this. Let me just get rid of this. It's a bit noisy. Submit it. Our input errors. Nice. It has found the title. Nice. Okay, so we now know this is going to return it's only ever finding the first, so we just need to use query selector, which will return a single element. So instead of calling this errors, this should be first input error, because it's a single element. And first input error, we should just be able to focus it. You may need to add an instance of HTML element. How do I do that? Just cast it as that. Let's see if it works first. Yeah, there we go. So at least it's working. Let's have a quick look. TypeScript instance of. Okay, so is it just a conditional? So you would just do if first input error is an instance of an HTML element. The form is invalid. We don't need this. This is just purely for my own. I'd like to know where it's finishing. We shouldn't need that anymore. If the form is invalid, we want to focus the actual form. If the form is invalid and formRef.current instance of it always will be, because we're checking that it's truthy here, which means we know that will be a form element. So we should just be able to do formRef.current.focus. Nice, that was good fun. That was good times. So now if I submit this, it'll knock me into this. Just to be sure, we'll just get rid of this and we'll submit this as well, and it will take me back to the first one, even though both are here. If I do this and submit, there we go. Love it. Nice, cool. That was well explained. All right, I've got 7. It's 10 o'clock now. I was going to take a break, but I think I'm just going to do this extra credit, and then that should be, yeah, nice. That's the accessibility module done anyway. So that could be a nice way to finish it off. So we basically want to create a use effect. No, not create a use effect. Create a custom hook that moves the use effect into it. So function use focus invalid. We should take 2 parameters. It should take form ref, which will be optional, and then it'll be an HTML form element. We don't want it as undefined though, because we're defaulting it to null. Has errors, we have boolean, and it's defaulted to false, just in case it's undefined. Ken would like to use it as use focus invalid. I want to pass the form ref. I love custom hooks. It's fucking great. It has errors, and it has errors if the action data status equals error. Yeah, we should be able to grab this. Yeah, we don't need the .current here. This will be as errors. There's no current here. Let's just script these. I wonder if we need form ref here. Yeah. There we go. That should work, right? I don't think we actually need to return anything because you just want to use this. So if we save this and then we do this, there we go. Both are errored, and this goes to the front. If I do this and then submit it, interestingly, it didn't focus this. It should have focused that. Wait, I thought that did work. Okay. If the form ref matches. Let's take a look at the form ref coming through and has errors. Let's quickly inspect it. Form ref is the form, and it currently doesn't have any errors, which is correct. Let's reset it actually, and then submit that. Has errors, false. Let's just do that. I'll edit here. Has errors is true. Let's reset that. This is returning. As errors is true, and this is truthy, so this should be coming in. Should really use the debugger here, but I'm tired. Let's reset and submit that. Let's get rid of these. Just do it like a real human being. Edit. There we go. So we're in this. Should now trigger. Step through the form ref, which is an input, and this has errors. Is the form invalid? No, there's no matches. First input error. It's found it. It's the input an instance of an HTML element. Yeah. So then it should focus it and return. But it didn't focus it. Why is that? The code's working as expected, but the focus management is not. There we go. Man, I've had such problems with stuff reloading tonight. So if I get rid of this. That should work. And it's kind of working. It works the first time, so if I come out and then hit submit. This only triggers if form ref and has errors has changed. And because has errors just looks for errors in general, if I create another error on here, this would remain true. If I fix this, has errors would now be false, which means this is rerun, which means if I now edit, and now I do it, this should focus the title. There we go. That's why. It's because has errors hadn't updated, so the effect wasn't running again. I know what's causing it. I can't be bothered trying to fix it because I'm tired. I don't want to go to bed. And I got the hook to work. Looks good to me. Let's mark that as complete. and we'll move through. Nice quick dad joke, and then should be good to go. Nice. Let's just fill this out, and then I think I'm going to finish up for the evening. Professional waveforms accessibility, and about what did we learn about? Focus management on form labels and error messaging. Yeah, I had a blast on that actually. They were both really great. Yeah, kind of stumbled on that form errors component. I actually don't see the benefit of having to add that yourself, but I'm not writing the course, so who am I to judge? I'm going to mark that as complete. And quickly recap. What did I do? We worked on a form where we clicked on the form label, that would focus the element. And then we worked with the error validation. So whenever you submitted a form that had an error, it would first check if there were any form errors. And if there weren't, it would look to the inputs and then it would focus them accordingly. That is good times. I'm going to finish up here for the evening and I'll be back next week to work on something. There we go. What's next? Schema validation next week. Looking forward to it. Thanks for watching.